All right, guys, welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to be talking about different sleeves, the ones that I particularly like to use. Now I'm going to narrow it down to material, not so much the types of sleeves. There are so many kinds of sleeves out there. We can make an entire episode on just the different kinds of sleeve. But I'm going to narrow it down to just material and why I prefer to use this particular material on young dogs and puppies. So let's go over them real quick. We're not going to waste any time. Let's jump right on it. All right, so the first type of material that I like to use on young puppies, okay, is going to be this right here. And I know that there are leather rags on the market for puppies, and I know that you can buy, cotton rags, French linen rags, and those I'm sure will be great for a lot of applications. I'm very, very fond of what burlap, that's what this is, burlap will do for a puppy. The reason I like burlap is it's a nice fibrous material and it's very versatile. You know, you can see just by looking at burlap, just by looking at this, hopefully you can kind of see it here. But just by looking at this, you can see how when pairing it with puppy's teeth, it's almost like Velcro. You can see the puppy's teeth as they're working on the burlap rag. You can see it. I mean, they have a much fuller, deeper grip. They're not slipping. They're not having to like figure out where it is. Most puppies take to burlap right away. You can see in some of the videos that I'm posting on Puppy Bitework that I'm using burlap rags. I've also used other stuff. I've used leather rags. I've used other materials. But like I said, when it comes to comparison, yes, the leather will do. Yes, the nylon will do. But this baby right here is just so much more useful when it comes to working with puppies. And what I like about burlap too is I can make it super tight and make it almost like a tug, okay? Or I can make it very fluffy so that as the puppy bites, they get this whole thing of material in their mouth. Now, where you're gonna find this, you can find this at Tractor Supply or any feed store. Walmart actually sells it as well. Walmart will sell it too. Walmart will sell it by the yard. So if you go to like the fabric section of Walmart, they'll have all kinds of fabrics. Burlap is actually one of the fabrics that they sell too. But if you go to a feed store, just ask for a burlap sack. It's a very nice material, and I would suggest getting a decent amount because I've seen burlap used for puppies, but the burlap is so thin that the puppy doesn't really get the full benefit of it. So I would recommend getting a decent amount. You can get an entire sack, or you could even get 2 sacks and kind of roll them up together, and you have this nice big fluffy thing that the puppy can put its whole mouth in. They feel the whole thing inside their mouth, unlike the leather rag or the other types of rags that they sell for puppies. Burlap is very inexpensive, and just in my opinion, it's the best material to use on puppies. Okay, once we've made it past the puppy stage, like the 7 we call puppy stage, where it's no longer practical to use a burlap sack, and now you have a puppy that's a little bit bigger, maybe 3 months of age, 4 months of age, 5 months of age. At that point, you want to graduate to something different, something a little bit bigger, now more of a puppy sleeve. A lot of people make the transition from a rag to a pillow, and from a pillow to a wedge, and from a wedge to a sleeve. Now, that is an approach that I used to use for a long time until a good friend of mine, Joris, introduced me to a different style and a different approach, which once I switched to that whole system, I saw dramatic improvement on all the young dogs and the puppies that I was working with. So from here, what I'll do is, rather than switch into a pillow or a wedge like I used to, now my go-to from the burlap is going to be a puppy sleeve. Now the puppy sleeve, again, we're going to talk about material here. The material, the surface that I prefer to use, and this is from experience. I've done it the other way, guys. I've done it with the French linen, the puppy French linen sleeves. and I've done the wedge, I've done the pillow. But once I switched to this system right here, I just, same thing. And I noticed a big improvement because look at this particular material, which is jute. Okay, jute is an awesome, awesome fibrous material, and it has the same consistency as burlap. So you look at burlap, it's very fibrous. You can see the puppy's teeth sinking right on that, giving them a nice full grip. And if you look at jute, jute kind of has the same consistency almost, okay? It has a very, very similar consistency. It's very fibrous. And now we're talking about a puppy here, and I can now have this puppy that is 4 months of age, 3 months of age even, right? Depending on what kind of puppy you're working with. Now this puppy can have that same comfortable feel where his teeth are gonna sink right in. It's gonna fill this entire thing inside his mouth. And guys, again, I see a huge, huge difference. French linen, you can absolutely use French linen. I don't have a problem with that. I've done it a bunch of times. You know, there are French linen puppy sleeves. The only thing I don't like about French linen for the younger dogs is you'll see French linen is a lot smoother. The thread count is a lot higher than your average jute sleeve. So because of all of that, the thread count being pretty high, the material being very smooth, you can actually see a lot of times the puppy slips out of the French linen sleeves a lot easier. Okay, we're talking about puppies, young dogs, and yes, we do want to take into consideration the fact that we have the right genetics, the right puppy, but we want the materials, the tools that we use, and the techniques that we use to push the dog in the right direction. And in my opinion, from experience, jute compared to French linen, okay, we're talking about puppy sleeves here, it just gives that puppy, gives that young dog a much, much fuller, much more confident grip, and it feels nice in their mouth. From here we can go to a more of an intermediate sleeve. Now there are different kinds of intermediate sleeves. This is now past the puppy stage. This particular one is a very versatile sleeve. This could be used for the forearm, which is where I like to start a lot of the puppies, even the young dogs. I'll keep them on the forearm for a while. And then from here, I could even bring it over to the bicep. It is adjustable, this particular one. So I can bring it to the bicep because it is Velcro. Again, very versatile type of sleeve, this particular one right here. Okay. I can use it as a leg sleeve if I need to. Same concept. Okay, I have now, same thing. I have jute, which is going to be very comfortable in the dog's mouth, encourage that nice full grip. And then from there, we can go to the other types of sleeves. I can go to the more intermediate, more advanced sleeves, all the way up to the arm, to the shoulder, your more Belgian style type of sleeves. And now these sleeves, again, I like to use jute. At some point, I will transfer over to French linen. That is a definite for us because we do PSA. In PSA, we're not using jute on the trial field. We're using French linen. We're using bite suits. But obviously, this is just a tool. Okay, the way I used to feel about jute, I didn't really care for it because my thought process, what I was taught was, you only really need to use jute if the sport is going to be on jute. Like, IGP, formerly known as IPO or Schutzen, that's a sport that requires a sleeve made out of jute. So that makes sense. So we could imprint the dog on jute. If it's Belgian ring, that is another sport in which there will be jute on the targets for the sport. So it makes sense to imprint the dog on jute. But the way I was taught was, this is the way I did it for a long time, and it was never a problem, is if the sport or the application that you're going to be using it for does not require jute, there's really no need to use jute. You can't, just not a whole lot of need for it. So I pretty much left it alone for a long time. But again, I was introduced to this by a good friend of mine, and then this just changed my perspective on the whole jute thing. So now my go-to development tools, again from experience, is definitely going to be jute. Burlap to start them out with, and then jute to progress them to nice fuller grips, pushing grips. And then from jute, once we have a nice, confident, full push and grip, then we will go to French linen. Then we will go to the material that they're gonna see in the sport, in the trial field, which is French linen. Okay, so that is just kind of my take on this. You can find this, I'm sure you can find it on some of the online vendors. They're gonna be different though. So you have, you know, some of the big online police dog, material suppliers. This particular ones, you're gonna find these usually through your local vendors. I know Leerburg has some nice jute sleeves. I like to kind of go local. I have a lot of contacts that I do business with. So this one is, this brand is Eurojoe, and I got this from Stash House Canine. So it's a kind of a local guy. Here's a friend of mine too. The other big brand is gonna be Seinav, and Seinav is usually something you find through your local dealers too. Leerburg has Seinav as well, and I believe they might have Eurojoe. But Seinav is another brand that makes awesome jute sleeves. And I just wanted to make this quick video and give you my perspective, on why this material, in my opinion, is very beneficial for puppies and young dogs. All right, so that's pretty much it. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and make sure you check out my books on Amazon, and I'll see you guys in the next video.